All right, we're coming in just a little bit early because Vorpal's already here throwing confetti. And I was set up and ready to go. So I thought, let's come in. So, real quick, already had a very long show earlier this morning. Then I went out and mowed the yard, changed my outfit. But I wanted to come in and talk about we've got Maze Rats as the primary, and this is my printed version after I got the file off of Drive Through RPG. And then I have Knave. Sorry, it's in its little wrapper with all this cool little sticker stuff. And I show this because Ben Milton, who, by the way, lives in Wichita with me. Well, not with me. He's just in the city. I don't even know the man, but he lives here. And he's getting ready to have a Kickstarter start Tuesday, I think, May 2nd. But I'm a huge Maze Rats fan. I've been running some one-off semi-chained together, learning how to run it sessions with my son, and it's been a blast because I'm getting ready to run a West Marches version. And you say, what is that? I will explain that in a little bit. But the cover of the thumbnail for this video is a brand new cover for what looks to be a professionally made Maze Rats version of the game. So I've just printed off. You've got all these charts and stuff in here, made a nice little pamphlet. Ben's real good about everything's on your 2 pages when you open it. So when I go to character creation, everything for character creation's right there. Well, not only is he doing a hardbound book for Knave, but he just revealed that he's going to be doing a printed version of some type. I don't know if it's a professional pamphlet or whatever for Maze Rats. And I'm like, yeah. Let me see what Vorpal's saying. I've been play testing Twilight 2004E combat system today for a system that is supposed to be simple and streamlined. It's clunky. Tactical wise, I don't use much of their tactical system. I go theater of the mind. And that just worked better for me. I've got tons and tons of tactical games. And when I get into tactical combat, I like the tactical first rules first. And I like role playing. My role playing is almost always theater of the mind-esque. So, and I just got Urban Ops for Twilight 2000, and I probably didn't need it. I was already kind of working my way through, urban situations, but it included a few more maps, which I don't usually use when I'm filming. But either way, I love the Twilight 2000 setting. I loved it in the 80s, and I love it now. So we are in. We got Vorpal commenting here. I came for the pie and the punch. That's right. The pie and the punch, baby. So first, before we get too much further, we talked about what Ben Milton's going to do. I will put a link in the description for his Kickstarter. He's got a preview up already that tells you, hey, this is coming. I don't think that gives a date, but he's recently released, again, May 2nd, if memory serves, Tuesday. It'll be up, and I think it's going to be huge. It is a very accessible system. And Maze Rats itself, he used or developed when he was teaching fifth graders, but he was role-playing in an after-school club with 5th and 6th graders and getting them in and getting them playing as DMs and generating and building their dungeons and playing and just getting them into the action. And Maze Rats for West Marches is so quick on character development, and I want a dangerous adventure game. And as I was reading through, all my OSR stuff or whatever, I quickly settled. Well, I kind of zeroed in on Maze Rats, and I thought, I don't know if I'll use that. I looked at a couple others, and I came right back and said, yep, that's what I'm going to be using. And that starts the 7th, May 7th, and I'm going to be running them through a big group. So part of having a big group is I wanted something that was kind of light and easy to grok. So Um, More in the description on Knave and Maze Rats coming in a book bound or professionally done pamphlet for Maze Rats. What did Vorpal say here? Had a tiny bit of connection problem. Oh, okay. Hopefully your side, not mine. Um, but let me come back to what I'm going to do tomorrow, Sunday, with Maze Rats. So never fear 1911 is a longtime viewer. Not as long as you, Vorpal, but he's a longtime viewer. He's a big RPG player or watcher. Um, and he suggested, and it was something that had been in the back of my mind, that it would be really fun to use Maze Rats to run through with my solo Mythic emulator to go into like a scenario or maybe a little more than a one-off. I'll have to see, but to create a character live, to then begin adventuring, and to also take input from the viewers. So, what are we going to do here? What will we do here? Or roll a die, and you'll get to see how this will unfold. And this will be great practice for me running Maze Rats with the in-person group that's going to be here a week from Sunday. So I think this will be fun and engaging. Even if everybody stayed silent in the comments section, I could keep her going. I've been doing Twilight 2000. I did playthroughs, not live. But I did run Twilight 2000 with Dan Pancaldi and Ron Nicholson. Well, again, not live. I ran it live, but I didn't record it live, so I could edit it, tighten it up. And now I'm doing Blade Runner RPG. So Inverse Alien, love it. Awesome concept. Yeah, 1911. Never Fear 1911 suggestion. It's funny because I thought, man, I've been thinking about doing that. I didn't quite have the concept of how I would do it. He had a couple little ideas. I thought, that's perfect. Let's give it a shot. And again, Maze Rats is so simple. Probably the only weird thing is when my laptop crashed, that moved me off of my normal set where I film my Scotch Test Dummy show and where I was filming a lot of my bonding with board game stuff. I came back into the office, so you're going to get the office, but I've got enough table space here that I can roll and we can make it work. So it should be just fine. And I don't have to worry about image quality because the Mac's doing pretty darn good. You guys let me know if the image suffers a little bit. But it is the standard that I used to use, and it's kept the quality up pretty good. So I wanted to make this vlog just a little teaser about what tomorrow we will do. I'll post, I'll schedule the live for tomorrow as well. It'll probably be around 10 a.m. Do it early, do it fresh. I'm much fresher in the morning. And we'll play through. And we'll probably keep it fairly short, no more than an hour. And maybe even only 30 minutes, just to see how it runs and the pacing goes. And on top of that, I think it'll be a nice vehicle for people to see what Maze Rats does, especially as Ben Milton gets ready to go live with his Kickstarter, primarily for Knave, but also including Maze Rats in there. So I thought, what better time to do it than right now? So should be a whole lot of fun. Let's see what Vorpal's got here. Do you like Cowboys Wild West? Recommend Ruthless, a free set of rules featured Little Wars YouTube show. I do. I even tried to, Aces and Eights was a role-playing game, and I actually tried to jumpstart myself back into role-playing in like the 2000, whenever that came out. What was that, 2012, or was it even sooner? But I got a group together and it kind of fell apart at the table. They had this cool thing with these clear overlays that you could put over, like, I don't know, a bar or something, or a shootout, or the guy you're shooting with, and then you flip cards, I believe, or something. But it just kind of broke down. And I hadn't played RPGs in so long. I was rusty and I wasn't ready to referee or DM that. GM it. And I could do aces and eights a lot better now using Mythic and everything else. Matter of fact, with my home group, we're using Fate Core, the system of Fate Core, so kind of storytelling first, skills, attributes. No, not attributes. What is it? Stunts. And we're time traveling. And the group is part of the Time Protection Agency, and they've gone back in time because somebody saved. It's actually called the Anti-Time Protection Agency, but they saved Lincoln, and it messed up the timeline. So they've gone back in time. This is a live group that comes to the house, and they're about ready. They're about a week away from when Lincoln's assassination is supposed to happen, and their job is to write the timeline. I already got one guy going, man, I love Lincoln. I don't want to kill Lincoln. I'm like, well, you don't have to kill him. You just got to make sure he gets killed. And he was like, ugh. And I'm like, that's exactly why we're playing this. So they're enjoying that aspect of it. And I love history. So my idea was to use this to dive deeper into the history. But that's just like a homebrew hack version of Fate Core that I'm using with my own setting. Time travel gets weird, funky. And they've got all this underskin tech that they can use, which gives them almost superpower-like stuff, but it's all biotech, so no metal or anything that could be found and mess with the timeline. It would just rot away with them if they die. But that's a whole nother story. How long have we been going? 11 minutes. Good, because I'm going to keep this one a little tight because this is just a primer for what I'll be trying tomorrow. And again, that'll be playing Maze Rats live, taking input from the viewers on, hey, what do you guys want to do? Or if I roll on a mythic chart and gives me the subject and what an action or verb, and what does that mean? This is what it means to me, and we'll see how this goes. So playing solo, basically, with help from the viewers. And the cool thing with Maze Rats is you create a character so fast that the first thing we'll do is we will do a character creation. We'll come up with, we'll roll on our charts here. It uses 6-sided die. And then we will just jump right on in. I may even bring down, Ben Milton has this really cool video where he circle punches these old, oh my gosh, Magic the Gathering cards, destroys them basically, cuts out a 1.5-inch circle, glues those onto a wooden token, and ends up with these gorgeous tokens with photos on it that are all from Magic the Gathering. But I already wanted to use those on my West Marches because I want certain areas, tiles that the group explores to have little pictures, landmarks, or a type of creature that's in that area or whatever. So I may bring that into my Maze Rats game as well, because I could draw into my location bag. I have a bag of locations, and I could pull one out and say, well, this is the area we're going in to explore. I should have brought some down. I don't have any down here. Or we're going to fight this monster. And then I'll have to figure out general stats, and we'll fight it and see what goes on. Let's see. Let's go into Vorpal's got a lot of comments here, so I'll look at several. Vorpal, me stay silent. Give me a break. I think you're mocking me, obviously. I cannot find a group to play with. Then play with yourself, Vorpal. Play with yourself. You can use Mythic, and you've seen me doing it. It works really, really well. Now, there's online groups you can jump in and play. I haven't done that myself, but it is a possibility. And sometime we'll chat. You can come in and play. You can be involved in this tomorrow, and you'll be virtually playing. And if it works really well, I'm going out on a limb here because it would have to work really well, but I could see maybe even running something with, let's do a fallback. Maybe my patrons, I could bring them into a live show and almost referee them through a game as we play something as simple and straightforward as Maze Rats. So that might be fun. And Vorpal, that might give you a chance to get involved. But look around, and I bet you'll find somebody you can game with. Kabuki's in. What is up? How are you? How are you doing? Bring that in. Boom. So I haven't been on in a while either, partly because I was trying to get the laptop fixed. And I thought, you know what? Heck with that. Let's just get on the Mac. We'll shoot my office. I'll tell you what's in the background. So that is my Star Wars case that I had in like 1979. It's got all my original Star Wars figures inside it. The big, tall Boba Fett, that's an original. My Chewbacca, and I used to have his cross sash with the cartridges in it. I found it loose like 10 years ago, and I said, man, I don't even think I have Chewbacca anymore. And I tossed it. And then, boom, I find Chewbacca. So now he's without a stash. And then the little hot rod thing. I like to keep cases. I can't point through here. There you go. That is my case for my little Matchbox cars. So I found them in a box, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're going on that back corner, and they're in there. And then I've always loved that Vietnam print with the businessman that's in DC at the wall. You can't quite see it, but there's these ghosted images that are his friends and that died there, and they're basically with him. Very cool shot. Spoke to me when I was a kid. I think I bought that when I was like 20. I don't even think I'd gone into the army yet at that point in time. And then a quote from JFK is on this freedom flag that's up here. So just to tell you what's in the background. I think that's about it. Let's see what everybody, Kabuki. Oh, wow. Those big figures are kind of rare, I think. Probably. I'd save the boxes because I've got a stormtrooper who has really been discolored. He's all yellowish. And I've got Vader, if I remember right. No, Han Solo. Yep, because I had Han Solo and Chewbacca, and I had Boba Fett and a stormtrooper. These are the 12-inch figures. And I'd saved their boxes. And they were in a box that was in my parents' attic, and moisture got in there, and the boxes were all jacked up. Now, be honest with you, it's not like I was going to resell them anyway, but I saved like the box for my Millennium Falcon. I don't know why, but it got wet as well. So, yep, I just love seeing them there. There was a lot of good times spent with these guys. So, very, very cool. Let's see, what else did Vorpal say? He bought some Aliens, Terminators, and Predators. Going to create some sci-fi battles. Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, Vorpal, you don't have to tell me what city you live in, or maybe small town, but what are we talking? Are you, I'm imagining suburb, or maybe you're in a small farming village. So what are we talking population wise? Because that would definitely hamper getting a hold of role players. But let me know. Just put it in the comments down there. Kabuki, yeah, that happened to me, to my Mad Magazine collection. Got wet and moldy. Yep, bummed. Some in my collection were older than me. Oh, so, yep. The parents, what had happened was that they told me they lived up in Evergreen, Colorado, and woodpeckers. When I was there, they would actually, these woodpeckers would, really smart too. They'd come up and try to peck holes in the house. And they didn't want me killing birds or anything, but I had a BB gun. But when this thing started to do damage, they were like, if you can take out that woodpecker, you'll get a payment. I was like, oh, yeah. And when I moved out, the woodpeckers went crazy, breached a bunch of holes in the back of the house. Moisture got in, and took a lot of fixing, actually. Once my dad passed, we had to go fix all that up. 1,500 to 2,000 pop. Yep, that would be a little tough. That would be a little tough to find somebody with that kind, or somebody to play with in a smaller area. Now, you can get on maybe Board Game Geek, go to their RPG Geek side, and if you put in 50 miles or 100 miles of this town. We had a board game group that got created like that in Wichita that ran strong for like 10 or 15 years. Some of the best gaming of my life was at that time. My wife and I would go, We just had a wonderful time. Sometimes 30 some people were showing up, and you could just play all manner of board games. So you can go to RPG Geek and check, but online might be your way. And if you want to tiptoe, join in here, be here tomorrow. Like I said, I'll set it up at 10 o'clock, and I'll run a maze rats that you can at least weigh in on at certain times. And if that goes well, I may, like I said, open this up for Patreon folks to actually be guests on the show, and I'll run them through. And maybe I'll do this with my son using Mythic. I can run a character, he'll run a character. I'm still GMing everything and saying, well, this character would do this. In my Maze Rats deal, I'm playing a nun in training who is cleric, healing type, but has a small bow, a crossbow that takes her a while to load. But I've been playing her character, and it works great. And my son's character is kind of a selfish fighter that's just out for himself, but he owed a favor, and it was to this young lady's uncle, and he was influential, and it helped this guy, my son's character. And the novitiate, I think is what she's called, her title, is that they have to go out almost like on a pilgrimage, kind of like the Mormons got to go out for a year. So she's got to go out into the world and try to become a little more wise, but it's dangerous. And so her uncle had set it up that the favor called of my son's character was to kind of take her with him and to help her as best he could. And it's been pretty interesting. Although then I had to discipline my son in real life, and he got mad at me, and he hasn't wanted to play for 2 weeks. I had to be a dad instead of a DM. And oh my God, he was like, I wasn't even getting like a goodbye when he headed off to school. I think he went up to the dog and was like, I love you, see you later. And I go, I love you too. And he goes, I was talking to the dog. I was not talking to you. That was for the dog. I said, no, I don't believe you. I think you missed me. All right, what's Vorpal saying? 2 gas stations, 2 traffic lights, 1 grocery store, 1 church, 6 bars. There you go. Last summer, I tried traveling to the big city comic book store. That didn't work out. Mostly children playing Digimon. All right. He called them mouth-breathing card floppers. No, those are just war gamers in training, brother. Everybody starts off at a place, Okay, I started off with B-17 Queen of the Skies, but that's because Avalon Hill was the big boys. And I do remember back in the day, there were hardcore war gamers that would say B-17 wasn't really a war game. And it was solitaire, and it wasn't even a game. I've seen some folks say it's not even a game. You're just playing spreadsheets. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So that's always been there. Vorp should start a group in one of those bars. Maybe. That might work. Online is definitely going to be one of your best ways. I mean, if I get a little bit of time, and that may not happen until I retire, and that's still several years away, I've purchased Foundry because I thought I don't want to use maps. I was telling Vorpal this before, but I could use Foundry if I was doing my solo Twilight 2000 role playing, and I could have Foundry up, and I could use it to show some of the action going on, I think. But it might get in the way. I'm a real Theater of the Mind player, and I've been watching RPG Elite. I'm trying to get better at role-playing the character. My son's really good at it, actually. There was a fellow sergeant. He's since retired from the police department. He's been an RPGer his whole life, and GMs at cons and stuff. And he came and GM'd a group here at the house where I was a player, and my son played for the first time with a GM other than me. And my buddy Don Story was like, man, your son was the best ROLE player at the table. And I said, yeah, bar none. He actually freaked people out. He was playing an elf, Forgotten Realms. And Forgotten Realms. Why did I just say that? It wasn't Forgotten Realms. It was Forbidden Lands from um, uh, Sweden, from Free League, and they called him the serial killer elf. He snuck in and almost killed a cook, but he ended up just stealing bread. But everybody was spooked. And I was like, wow, well done, son. Let's see. My sister's kid is 20. He got mad at me when I caught him and his buddies with a case of beer and a tattoo gun. Well, okay. He's almost 21 for the beer. Tattoo gun sounds like a mistake. I checked the tattoo gun in the swimming pool. I chucked it before they did any damage. All right. Kabuki says, I always love theater of the mind too. All right. Me too, Kabuki. I like to just paint that picture, paint it. And if I can draw them in, or they start to paint the picture with me, there's nothing better than when the group is all quiet and dialed in and adding in their own things. Kabuki says, my current DM, I should just put this up on the screen. My current DM in our D&D game likes to use minis and battle mats, which I'm also cool with. But when I ran games, I never used such. Cool. Yeah. Sometimes just someone reaching for the thing and finding it and getting it on the table, I've noticed it pulls me out. So I don't usually use them either. Vorpal, my role-playing style is hack and slash. Kick down the door, slay the monsters, collect the treasure, then count the experience points. Yeah, you'll like Maze Rats when I'm running it. Maze Rats, you get experience for being present. You get experience for doing something great. Knave, you might like better. You get experience for gold. But you can only get 3 experience points. You start at level 1, level 7, and you are probably going to die. You're supposed to use your brain, your player brain, and keep your character alive through your thoughts and actions rather than the rolling of your dice. By the time you've rolled dice, it's a danger roll, and it means you're in some serious danger and you may not make it. Murder hobos. Yeah, Vorpal would fit in good with that. Old school dungeon crawl style. I need a museum quality miniature table. Yeah, you do like your miniatures. The other thing I'm getting ready to do, just since it's a Chiefs vlog, my co-host on the Scotch Test Dummy Show loves zombies. He always has. We cool mini or not, we got zombie side. He got into that. And we've even joked around about, just on the show, The Walking Dead. We were watching it until it got kind of soap opera-esque. Well, Free League just came out with their Walking Dead AMC Kickstarter, and it funded quite well. I backed it. And I asked my buddy Bruno, hey, will you come on the show? And he said, absolutely. So as soon as they give the PDF versions, their rough versions of their book, I'm going to start doing a gaming session with him. He may come in remote. He may come over to the house because he's over here every week anyway when we film our whiskey shows. He's retired from the police department, but Scotch Malt Whiskey Society hired him. And so he's still working full time. And sometimes he's in LA or New York doing tastings. But he and I trying to survive in Atlanta and The Walking Dead will be a blast. It'll be interesting. So he's also got a military background. He was on the SWAT team. He was bomb squad commander. So we'll be able to pull all that into our Walking Dead campaign. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So look for that. Zombies in the game? Yeah, tons of them. If you haven't seen The Walking Dead. Now, the key is the zombies are a problem, but it's your humans that are the real problem. Yeah, Negan, exactly. You got it. Yep. Negan and Lucille spoiled the entire series for me. Yeah, Negan got a little bit, when they were even in the prison and then all that, I don't know. I was just like, come on. And Negan was the gang leader, I think, right? It got a little weird. And I liked it early. I got a little bit, You know, when his son wearing his cowboy hat or his police hat started to get rough and tough, and he wanted him to stay childlike, I thought, oh, come on. Once you're in that situation, um, your son grows up quickly or dies. Kind of like, and I'm going to forget her name, and I love her. The arc of the female character that was a battered wife and then turns into like Sarah Connor. And I loved her. When they were at the terminus, that was, man, when they hit that terminus and they were about ready to be bled out like cattle, I was like, this is a crazy show. I was like, what? And I was like, nuts. And then it got weird. Carol, yes, God, I love Carol. She was awesome. And her arc, and she's, but then on the slide, she's having to teach these kids how to defend themselves and they're getting mad at her. I'm like, Carol's the only one I'd hang out with. Are you guys nuts? I would have been like, Carol, we got to go. She does end up going. I'm like, these folks are dumb. And Bruno and I were filming the show, and it would come in every once in a while because we'd be talking about, and I couldn't watch it anymore. So I can't wait to play, because I don't know what they were doing when they're driving the motorhome around and Negan's like got roadblocks up. I'm like, get out of the motorhome, cross country. Hello. You don't need to stay in this stupid vehicle. It's a rundown motorhome. Dumb. But Carol, gosh, I love Carol. Carol might even have to make some kind of cameo or something. Vorpal, execution of all these main storyline characters turned me off. No, I actually like that. Well, execution, you mean when they died? Or do you just mean the way they pulled it off? I had been calling for a show ever since I was a kid where, like, I wanted it to be World War II, combat, but you're following this squad, almost Band of Brothers style, which comes out obviously much later after I see it. And you don't know who's going to make it. Band of Brothers does that. You get invested in these characters, and you're so invested, you're like, main character, they can't die. Boom, dead. And you're like, no. And you get, visceral. And that's kind of where The Walking Dead was going. And you were like, what? And I mean, people were getting crazy views doing reactions to what so-and-so got killed. And they would get, 1 million views because they were stunned when X character died. I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing shows with maze rats when I could just go, oh, and then 1 million views? But I like what I do. Kabuki. Yeah, great character. Thinking Man. There you go. Thinking Man's in. Laugh out loud. That's right. Let it roll, Thinking Man. Kabuki Kid. Ambush the TV show? Yep. Ambush the TV show is what ignited my love of World War II history. I saw Vic Morrow in a couple episodes, black and white, back when you had to watch whatever was on. And I remember going, what is this? And I was like, what? And then all of a sudden, I was a great sixth grade teacher, Mr. Rybold, got me hooked on reading. And I became a voracious reader. And my dad, nobody in my family had a military background. And I'm reading everything World War II. And he's just like, I don't know what he's doing. But he's a reading fool. So, and yep, I was all over it. Vic Morrow, yes. Oh, yeah, you mean combat. What did I say? Oh, I said ambush. Idiot. See, I got into playing ambush, and I'm saying that combat. Yeah, combat. What did I say? Ambush with Vic Morrow? That's how much I loved ambush, because all of a sudden I was playing combat. So, yes, Ref Tom Green, he's in. There he is. There he is. We've met up many times at BGG. So, Ref Tom Green, game designer. Good to have you on board, sir. Rat Patrol, yes, but I could barely get it. Up in the mountains, it came in on CBS, I think, and CBS barely came through. The mountains blocked it. I couldn't see Airwolf. I couldn't really get Magnum PI. I was like, come on, man, come on. I was just happy I could get Star Trek Next Generation, because that was on, what was that on, Fox? It was on something else up in the mountains. But I liked Rat Patrol, but up in the mountains, I could only catch it every once in a while. It would come on at like midnight, and for some reason, maybe it was because the airwaves weren't as crowded or something. I don't know, but it would show up on CBS, and I could see it. So yeah, I remember Rat Patrol. I used to watch Rat Patrol. Says Kabuki. Let me pull it up rather than just read it. Was always on Channel 11 here in New York City, late at night, like 1 a.m. Yeah, it would come on at the latest times. It was so cool. Looked like it was hard to film. I caught something, forget where I saw it, and I was like, man, that had to be tough to film. I don't know where they were filming that thing at. So what is this? Missed it. What are you sipping? Yeah, I didn't mention. Costco, that big old handle back there, that 1.75 liter, they put out a 12-year Costco. It's got their, I forget what they call it. It's like a generic scotch. And man, it's tasty. So when I'm down here and it's 40% ABV, a little bit lighter on the proof. So I'll sip it while I'm doing a show sometimes. Otherwise, I would probably be, I love Ardbeg. I love all whiskeys though. The other bottle over there is an M&H, which is a Israeli distillery, Milk and Honey. That's their classic. Lots of vanillas, lots of honeys on there. They did a Dead Sea version where they put it in a cask on top of like a real expensive hotel resort. And man, that cask was great. It's called their Dead Sea cask. I swear it picked up some of the saltiness. Ardbeg will do that just from the breeze blowing in. Kabuki, Baba Black Sheep. That one, yes. Also love that. Love the Corsair. A great story on that was that, they had a real, it was supposed to be a carrier flight, but with the long nose, they couldn't see the deck and it made approaches dangerous. And then the Brits found out how to do a tight circle in, get that eye on the deck, and then the natural roll, bring the plane down and land it. And they could land it with a very high safe success rate. It's a very interesting story, but I don't think they started pulling that off till like 1945. And then they did use that in Korea, is my understanding. So it was a real technique. Rat Patrol is not exactly, but I love the desert shows. You just don't. Let's see. Yep, Rat Patrol. If I can get it to move here, come on, pull up. Rat Patrol had Jeeps, all you need. Yep. What else we got here? Costco, $5 a barrel. You knew they said but getting a little lag. My son must be gaming upstairs. I follow the other channel as well. Cool, Scotch Test Dummies. That's a way more popular channel. I'm also getting close to starting a third channel. I'm going to call it Sergeant Bart. This is the first time anybody's heard of it other than my family. And I was going to do a trickier name, and everybody said, nope, stick with Sergeant Bart. I've had this other channel forever. I've had 4 subscribers for some reason, even though I never put a single thing up on there. And it's just sitting there. And I am a critical incident stress management coordinator for the police department at one of my things. So if somebody's involved in a critical incident, you could pick any one of those. It could be working a child death scene or shooting, being involved in a shooting, getting shot. I come in with a team and we work with those officers to healthily process that. And I wanted to lend some of that because I teach classes at the academy and some different things. But we started to have all these really senior guys, and I'm pretty senior, 27, 28 years on. But a guy with 43 years retired, came on the department in 1980, Bob or Robert Bachman. And I said, and he always had these great stories. He'd be telling you stories about 1980, 1982. And I said, Bob, I got to have you come on. What I am going to do, I'm going to start this show up because I can't talk about like normal police stuff when I'm still a cop. You can't go into calls or anything like that. But I'm going to start bringing these retirees in, recording their stories, having them talk about what they did, and then just putting that up on the channel. So it's not current events. It's not anything, it's just what they went through, what they did. And I'll give you a little nugget. Bachman had this great story that back in the 80s, this before crack cocaine hits, there were things called good time houses. He goes, you know what that is? No, I don't know what that is. He said there was a rougher part of town. It was like 9th and Washington. And he said there were these homes that were right near that intersection that somebody owned. And nobody knew who owned it. It was a good time house. There was a couple of them. The electricity was on. It was a functioning house, but nobody was living in it. And on the weekends, people would go in and just cook, almost like it's like a hostel or something. I don't know. They would just cook and party and dance. And he said gamble. And every once in a while, there'd be illegal prostitution. So there was this gambling, which of course is illegal, and prostitution, obviously illegal, and maybe underage drinking or whatever. So there would be problems around these, but sometimes no problems at all. But he said, yeah, every once in a while you'd get a issue at a good time house. And I was like, I've never heard of these. These did not exist when I came on in 95. So I'm going to start featuring that. I've actually got, I better not lose it. I've got a little mini disc with, now I'm getting nervous with his recording on it. Well, that's not it, but that's my backup for another one. And I need to edit it, get those out. And when that happens, I'll talk to everybody on my other channels just so they can go subscribe. But that'll be fun. And it'll be totally different from the other two things I'm doing. Drinking a dusty old jug of Dr. Pepper, year old. Nice. Very cool. Stream is breaking up on me some. Yeah, me too. I'm further away from my main download area. Devotion, new movie about Corsair pilots in Korea. Yeah, I need to see that. That's based on a true story. The black pilot gets shot down, comes in on a snow mountain, can't get out, gets pinned in his canopy, and I think he's wounded pretty severely, and his best friend crash lands next to him, figures he'll get court-martialed for it. I haven't seen the movie, but I've read the story. And they end up rescuing him. They can't get his buddy out of there. But I think they both got the Medal of Honor or something. Anyone else have their stream freeze? Ooh, I hope yours isn't frozen fully. Me. Uh-oh. You must save Tron. Sergeant Ugly. Richard Bachman's brother. There is that lag again. Shoot. Okay. I may have to pull out somewhere. I've got 100 feet of Cat 5 cable. I may have to use it if I'm going to be doing lives. It's working now. That's disappointing. I'll see if I can find that Cat 5. It'll probably be worth me running it down the hall just to make sure I got a good solid connection, because I am further away. That's the problem. I've got a buddy working on my laptop right now, and then I'm right next to it. Never a problem. All right. Well, we're at 43 minutes, so I'm going to call it now. We'll wrap up again. So in the description, it's not there yet, but I'll put a description to the hardback book that's going to be coming out on Knave by Ben Milton. He's a fellow Wichitan, but I've never met him. I'm going to be backing that, and I was super excited. He's got this brand new art. I can't remember the name of the artist, but that's what's featured in the thumbnail for Maze Rats. And even talking about a couple one-shots, little scenarios that'll come along for Knave, maybe Maze Rats too, I don't know. Very, very cool. It's looking good. Oh, look at this. Claire the Third's in. He's from the Scotch Malt Whiskey. Scott ever hang out with you or his solo SMWS only? Scott's going to be doing, I don't know if you're on, Claire, he's going to be doing some stuff on my board game show. We're going to be playing a role-playing game with The Walking Dead. So he'll be there. Normally, he will not come in on my nerdy board game stuff. That's his take. But yeah, and he is super busy. So, all right, let's see. Yep, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Great. I'll post it just so the announcement will be there. Artist is Mullen. Got it. Is it DC Mullen? Is that it? I remember DC being referenced. And it was that cool old school kind of art. So, but then I know he's got two different covers for his Knave book. One is like a cloth dungeon scene, well, like an actual dungeon looking down on, and then the other one is some cool art coming up. So Claire says, nice. Peter Mullen. All right, Peter Mullen. Maybe I got the names all turned around. I think he's doing the Knave book. Scott played the whiskey board game. No, he is not. Scott is not usually playing board games with me. So I don't know if he would enjoy that either. When he games, the only one he went all in on, Claire, is one called Zombie Side, and he was playing it with his sons. I had him over, and it was a zombie game. He loves the zombies. So he likes zombie movies and all that. And so I got him to play Zombie Side by Cool Mini or not. Perhaps I'm confused, though. No, I think you're right on. And who knows? You're probably more dialed in there, Inver, than I am. I took a look at it, and I can't remember now. All right, just so people come watch this, I'm going to shut it off now. So see you guys tomorrow, and we'll see how I can get this to work live. But we'll be using the Mythic emulator. We'll be using Maze Rats, and maybe even some of these Magic the Gathering tokens that Ben Milton showed me how to make via his Questing Beast YouTube channel, which you can go check him out there as well. He's got like 80,000 plus subs. So, all right, see you guys. Almost said Scotch at you Scotch gods.